It's the vibes. Where's the family? Yo, Selah, Shalom, shaman in late night, early morning, spooky hour. It's the vibes. It's the vibes. I see you, sister, and all praises to the Creator. We out here late night with it. Sirens ringing off. That's how it is in the city of Atlanta. Cause it's the vibes. Selah Shalom TV, according to the text, as it is written. Yes, family. It's the vibes. Peace and blessings to the family. Love and light. Yeah, boy, Selah Shalom on a late night. Wasn't expecting this, right? They say the Creator move like a thief in the night. Catch your ass while you sleeping. Don't get caught sleeping. I just got my Oahspe today from Amazon, 2516. No doubt you're going to enjoy that book. It's a great read. It's going to change your life forever. It's going to show you how to return back to the Creator. It's going to show you how to identify true God, true goddess from false gods and false goddess. It shows you're going to see the rank that woman has in the Oahspe. Woman has a higher rank than man in the Oahspe. When you read the Oahspe and find out, see the Oahspe, you got ranking gods. The same way you have a president, vice president. You got ranks to the system of the heavenly kingdom. But in the Oahspe, the highest ranking systems or the highest ranking angels were the females. But in the Bible, it tells you the female's supposed to be silent. In the Bible, it got you believing that Eve was the curse, and because of Eve, because a woman, sin came into the world. See, the Bible got women all fucked up. But in the Oahspe, woman is put on a higher pedestal, yo. That's what I found interesting about the book. Joseph, what's good? I see you. Shalom. We out here on a late night. You know what I mean? Like a thief in the night, we outside. Just decided to get on, yo. My days and my nights is off. My nights is my days, and sometimes my days is my nights. Yeah, I just wanted to hop online, yo. And another person, funny, yo, Oahspe came today because somebody else texted me and said they Oahspe came today to a white guy. He got the Oahspe, and he said his own came today. He showed me a little small video of his Oahspe and how he opened it up and shit like that. So, yeah, the word is spreading, yo. The truth is coming out about the Oahspe Bible, and it needs to come out, because that's the reason I put this information out. Because when I first read it several years back, over a decade ago, I was like, ain't no way in hell this information is out here and not out here. You feel what I'm saying? So I was like, yo, when I got the Oahspe, it wasn't no videos on YouTube. You know, YouTube is the go-to. You can put in anything in YouTube and find something, but I found nobody had nothing on the Oahspe. I'm talking about no teachings at all, not one. There was only one video floating around, and it was like less than a minute, and it was just pictures from the Oahspe, like a picture, and that was it. It was some music playing. That was the only reference they had to the Oahspe on YouTube. And this is around, I started my YouTube in 2009, so it had to be around there. But I had the Oahspe prior to that. I had the Oahspe a couple years before I put it on YouTube, because I had to analyze and read the text. So when I read the text, when I read the whole shit, I was like, bruh. I was like, yo, niggas can't tell me nothing. Can't nobody tell me shit at this point after I read that Oahspe. And then I realized that nobody knew about the book. Nobody knew about this shit. And the dude who put me onto it was a Jamaican cat, a Yachty. You know what I mean? A Yard man put me onto the Oahspe. A Caribbean brother. So I was like, that's what made it even more acceptable for me to take. Because the Yard man, we up there smoking, just like I'm smoking now. I'm at the park with my man. We blowing it down, talking shit. And then he walks up with the Oahspe. He walks up with the book. And that's how I was introduced to the Oahspe. You know what I mean? I said, what an interesting way to be introduced to such a revelation. And I wish I could see the guy who introduced it to me, because I seen him a couple times in passing, but I wasn't able to really get at him. And then I heard a couple stories about him, like the nigga was losing his mind or some shit like that. Like he was going, like when I met him, he was in poverty already. He was fucked up. That's what I said, you know what I mean? A lot of people be out here living life. I see you, Nat Deezy. I see you, King. A lot of people be out here living life and not knowing what a motherfucker be going through, you know what I mean? When I met the dude who had the Oahspe, he was damn near poverty. But he had the damn book though. He had that book. And when I you know what I mean, skimmed through the book, I was shocked. I was like, damn, and this shit saying son of Jehovah, daughter of Jehovah. I was like, yo, I gotta investigate this shit. And lo and behold, here we are today. Oh, okay, no doubt. The timetables of prophecy, no doubt. Yeah, the timetables of prophecy, that's the blueprint of the Oahspe. Once you get the timetables of prophecy as far as the chart, and you analyze that chart, that's the blueprint of creation as far as the ecosystem, how the solar system orbits another solar system, which is the Milky Way galaxy. And it breaks down the cycles, the seasons. It gets real detailed. It's a dope-ass book. You know what I mean, as y'all know. Awaken, what's good out here? Early morning with it, late night with it, spooky hour with it. These is the hours that the angels are alive and well moving through the night. This is the hour of communication. The hour of spirit communication is at nighttime. If you notice any movie that comes out that deals with spirituality or communicating with the dead, it's always going to show you that when they make communication is at nighttime. You can look at The Conjuring. You can look at a lot of these movies, The Exorcist, a lot of these movies, when they make the exorcism or they do the seance, the ritual, when they start to conjure up, it's at nighttime. It's around these hours right here. What's that movie? If you ever seen a movie called Drag Me to Hell? You know what I mean? When a girl, she denied a lady, a gypsy, she denied a gypsy a loan to keep a house, and the lady lost her home and ended up dying, and her spirit taunted the lady. So the lady went to a seance, an Indian man, to try to stop the spirit from harassing her. And when they did the seance, it was at nighttime. They brought the goat in. They was going to slaughter the goat because the spirit was supposed to go. They was going to conjure up the spirit. That from once they conjure up the spirit, and the spirit is in the presence of where they at, They were going to direct the spirit into the goat, which they did. And then from the goat, they were supposed to kill the goat. And then that's how they was going to, dismay the spirit or whatever, according to the show. If that was real life, and in reality, the way that would be handled, essentially, the spirit wouldn't even be directed to the animal or killed, because if you killed the spirit of the animal, if you kill the animal and the evil spirit is in the animal, that spirit is just going to be free again to go and graft himself on another animalistic body, or whether it be human or animal. But the Oahspe, the way that handles that, angels in service of the true God through the Creator will come and remove that evil spirit away and take that shit somewhere over there and get that nigga right. But when you do a ritual, and I'm just speaking from the movie perspective, Drag Me to Hell, in that particular scenario when they conjured up the spirit, they didn't send the spirit away. They actually embodied the spirit in the goat, and then if they would have slaughtered the goat, the spirit would have still been free. It would have still been present, because it would have just left the host being the body. So the Oahspe shows you how they take these spirits and make colonies for these spirits over here in another heavenly realm, far away from where mortals are at, and get them right, get them weaned from evil. See, Oahspe, just like in a book of I forgot what chapter and verse, when Jesus cast out the evil spirits into the swan, and then the swan ran and jumped over the cliff. Now, by them swans running and jumping over the cliff, all they did was just free back the spirits, because after the swan died, the spirits is going to be free from the host being the body of the pig. So they back lingering around, you know what I mean? They ain't going nowhere. They just use the vessel to move through, and once the vessel is useless, they hop out the vessel and they still present. They right there. So they didn't so Jesus, he sent the evil spirits away, but they still lingering over there in another part of Galilee somewhere, or wherever part of Israel they was at. It was supposed to show that the angels supposed to capture these spirits and take them off. Show that element of the scripture, so you'll know that these motherfuckers is removed from mortals. They not lingering around no more, but fully removed. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, if you could send that to your brethren incarcerated, the Oahspe, yeah, them niggas need it. It may spook them niggas out too, like killers, people who got blood on their hand. The Oahspe may spook them out, because I know a guy who got blood on his hands, and it ain't nothing hidden. That nigga did his time and came home. Matter of fact, he in my show, y'all know him, Sonny Gallo, big boy. Ain't no secrets. When I told him about the motherfucking spirits of the dead and how they can retaliate after you die, yeah, that shit had him thinking very deep. Because basically now he's like, damn, I didn't know about that part of the game. I took a man's life. It's easy to take a life, pick up a gun, boom, boom, boom. Anybody can do that. Children do it. 12-year-olds do that, pick up a gun and take life. Taking life is the easiest thing you could do. But what you don't know is the fundamental principles that come with taking that life. You don't know about life after death. That's the unknown. But now we're getting hints that there is life after death. The spirits of the dead do live. And then the spirits of the dead can retaliate on the person who killed them. Once you find that out, that's when your mind gonna start working. That's when your mind gonna start clicking. That's when you gonna start thinking. That's when you ain't gonna be able to sleep good at night, because that shit gonna be affecting your mind. Even if you don't believe it, it's still gonna affect your mind, because it's always a window of possibility that shit can happen. It's always that window of possibility. So you can't never close nothing completely out. Especially if you took a motherfucker life. If you took a life, yeah. You got motherfuckers who went to Vietnam Wars, the Iraq War when 9/11 hit. Niggas went to war. You got retired vets who got blood on their hands, thinking they did a good job in honor of the country. Man, any life you take harmfully like that, you got to pay and restore those who you took. If you killed 30 men, you got to restore 30 men. Or 30 men is going to be on your ass when you cross over. Oh, they were the nigga who killed us right there. Oh, that's him? He finally made it on this side. Let's go get him. Look at him. He don't even know where he at. He's totally lost. He just crossed over. It's like a baby being born and the lion is right there for the devouring. Because the baby is new into the world. The baby don't know shit. So it's the same way when you cross over in spirit. You new in the realm. You don't know what the fuck going on. But the niggas who's been lingering and been there for a minute, they know exactly what's going on. And they know exactly how to deal with your ass if you ain't right and exact. You know what I mean? Oh, what time is it here? What time is it over here? Where we at? It's 1:27 a.m. It's 1:27 a.m. over here. Ice cold, cool food. What it do, King? Hope all is well. Glad you live. You know, we out here, man. We touching on these spirits of the dead, yo. How the spirits of the dead can retaliate on the living. How they can retaliate on the person who they injured when they cross over. That's how these hells are created. These hells are created when people who died untimely, short death. You have a lot of people who had careers they trying to pursue, things they trying to pursue, and their life get cut short. You think them niggas over there happy? Just look at the news. You know, a guy who owned a barbershop, gunned down. You think he over in spirit happy? Everybody like, oh, he in heaven. No, that nigga's pissed. You just took him away from his family. He ain't happy. A female got her own hair salon. Boom, gunned down in the street. You think she happy in spirit? Hell no, she ain't happy. You just took her life. 23-year-old, 25-year-old, 35-year-old. Life cut short because some niggas over there shooting and she got hit by the stray bullet. Now she dead and she had a life ahead of her. You think she gonna be a happy spirit? Fuck no. That motherfucker gonna have vengeance and hate on her spirit knowing her life got cut short. That's the response time when you cross over and realize, damn, I'm dead and my life cut short. You could hold on to that anger and vengeance as long as you want. Or you could learn to let go and actually settle for what happened and move on into the spirit world and be progressing spiritually in a positive manner and don't even focus on your killer. Or when your killer cross over, you may be there as a helping hand because you done let go of the malice in your heart. See, it's levels to this shit. It's variables to this shit. And there is no one way to this shit. That's why the beautiful thing about the Oahspe, because Oahspe don't show you that there's no one way to none of this shit. It's puzzles that you got to figure. True God it's a puzzle. When true God come to the earth, it's like a puzzle. When these Etherians come to the earth, it's like a puzzle. All right, boom, boom, boom. We gotta put pieces together, figure this shit out, make it make sense. It ain't no one way. It's challenges. It's strategies. It's mental challenges. You got to challenge your mental capacity. It's scenarios and situations that didn't occur, that wasn't part of the plan. How many times you have a plan and situations come up that wasn't part of the plan and you got to adjust? See that? That's what the Oahspe is showing you. You got to learn how to adjust and adapt when earth environmental changes come. You dig? Yeah, yo. It's 3:20 p.m. in Australia. Yeah, so we on the opposite. It's 3:20 over there. That's crazy. Yeah, it's nighttime over here, beloved. The angels is roaming over here right now and shit. Moving around. Maria was good. Greetings. Peace and blessings, yo. We out here just talking about the spirit world, yo. So that's what I'm here to talk about, the spiritual thing. That's what my insight falls in at. You got people who could teach you about credit. You got people who could teach you about finances. You got people who could teach you about a lot of things. I'm here to show you about the spirituality. Let the credit man study the credit, let him do his thing, but let us do our thing. We deal with spirituality over here. Observing illusion, peace, fam. Let me read a couple verses from the Oahspe, right? We were just touching on the spirits of the dead and how the spirits of the dead can retaliate on the living if they still hold vengeance on their killer. So, like, and that's the low-level dealings. What we deal, this is the low level dealings. What we dealing with, you know, you walk down the street, get into a fight, shot, you get killed, they get killed, spirits cross over, angry and jealous. That's low level shit. That's drudges level. But then you have hierarchy levels to this shit, where you got hierarchy killings planned out to collect souls, not just in 2 or 3 numbers, 50 numbers, numbers of 75 and 100. You know what I mean? That's why warfare is beneficial to the false gods. Why? Because the duty of the false god is to be glorified and have subjects, meaning other angels in his kingdom, glorify him. The more he have in his kingdom, meaning the more angels he have in his kingdom, the more glory goes to him, and the more pride and ego he builds up within himself. So the purpose of a false god is to collect the souls of the dead and bring them to his heavenly kingdom and make them subservient slaves to worship him. So the best way you could collect souls on a great number is during warfare. If it's not warfare, you got to wait till a motherfucker live out his whole life. So you may have to wait about 80 years, 70 years for a man or woman to die before you collect that soul. So you got to wait 70 years just to collect a couple of souls, when you could create a war and collect souls by the 50s, by the hundreds, by the thousands over the course of time, depending on how long the war lasts. See that? That's when the high gods are playing on a higher level, a higher anarchy. They playing on a high level. You know what I mean? So check out this right here, right? This is in the Book of Wars Against Jehovah, chapter 37. This is during the time of the 23rd arc cycle, 4th millennium BC to 1550 BC, around that time period, in between that time period. And this is during a time when Osiris is commanding Baal and Ashtaroth to overtake and to overturn, use trick and strategy to do the job. But I just want to read to show you how deceptive these false gods play. Now, verse 1. Osiris said to Baal and Ashtaroth, "Go ye down to the earth to subdue it, and your first labor shall be in Arabia, or Africa, and Persia, and Hellas. After that ye shall fall upon remote parts and subdue them unto ourselves also." So right here, Osiris is basically saying that, yo, you're going to subdue Africa, Persia, and Hellas for our own keeping. So he's planning this shit out before it happened. That's how these false gods, that's how all of the strategies or the tactics is played out in heaven before it even come to earth. It says, "But go ye not as other gods to destroy mortals, for we want them to propagate and make subjects for us." So you see that? He's saying don't go the other way through warfare and destroy mortals. Let them propagate. We're gonna take a different route. That's what Osiris is saying. That's why in Egypt their civilization stood the way it stood, because Osiris didn't go the war route compared to Sudgantian and Indian in Asia. They went the war route. That's why it was migrations coming in. That's why it was people coming into Egypt by the during the intermediate periods, due to these wars in the Far East. But you don't hear about these wars in the Far East. So now, it states, let me run that back. "But go ye not as other gods to destroy mortals, for we want them to propagate and make subjects for us. Nor pursue ye them tribe against tribe, putting them to death, if they worship not Osiris, Baal, or Ashtoreth. Nah, not even the worshippers of the Great Spirit, except of such whose spirits we cannot catch at the time of death, them destroy." See that? See what the fuck going on? You see what this nigga Osiris just said? Look what he said. He says, yo, don't even worry about killing off those who don't even worship us. You know what I mean? Even the worshippers of the Great Spirit. But look what he said. "Except of such whose spirits we cannot catch at time of death." So he's saying, yo, If we can't capture this nigga after he die, destroy him. And when they say destroy him, they can't destroy no spirit. Basically, what they're gonna do is keep him captive, keep him held until he changes his mind. They could torture you, just like they do now. If you're a spy and you get caught by the ops, they're gonna torture your ass for you to confess who you working for. So they'll torture your ass until you confess Osiris, and then you be obedient and run up in Osiris' heavenly kingdom. So it's not easy for the faithless and the worshipers of Jehovah. It ain't no cakewalk. See, a lot of niggas think it's a cakewalk just because you worship the Creator. No, the Creator a lot of times it's the faithless or those who worship the Creator that goes through the most horrendous trials. So just because you worship the Creator and identify with the Creator, don't think you ain't gonna be faced with no challenges. Verse 2. But suffer mortals to worship as they may. And if they worship the Creator, say unto them, it is well. If they worship Ahura, say it is well. If Dais, yeah, it is well. For all of these are but one person, who is Osiris. See how deceptive these false gods are? Osiris is saying, yo, let them niggas worship who they wanna. But just let them know that, oh, this is a summary of me, Osiris. Showing you how deceptive these false gods play. Whose heavenly high place is Ago Adin. Thus teach them. See that? This is Osiris is saying, yo, teach them this shit. Again, it says, but suffer mortals to worship as they may. And if they worship the Creator, say unto them, it is well. If they worship Ahura, say it is well. If Dais, yeah, it is well. For all of these are but one person, who is Osiris, whose high heavenly place is Ago Adin. Thus teach them. Let's go to the glyph of Osiris. Let's make this make sense. Let me give y'all some illustration. Right? And then we're going to run that verse back, looking at Osiris sitting on the throne. See, they go Osiris, right? Now, that's supposed to be Osiris sitting on the throne in his heavenly kingdom. Small depiction of the afterlife, right? So let's read that verse again. But suffer mortals to worship as they may. If they worship the Creator, say unto them, it is well. If they worship Ahura, say unto them, it is well. If Dais, yeah, it is well. For all of these are but one person, who is Osiris. See that? Whose high heavenly place is Ago Adin. That's Ago Adin right there, in a sense. Osiris sitting on a throne in his realm. The name of Osiris' heavenly kingdom in the Oahspe is Ago Adin. Thus teach them. Verse 3. This also shall ye do. So this is Osiris talking. You see him sit on the throne. Just using this as an example from what I'm reading. Osiris over there talking shit on the throne. So now he's saying, this also shall ye do. Re-establish places of learning, teaching the Osirian law. What do you have there? The judgment hall of Ma'at, the balance scale. Oh, that's the Osirian law you're looking at right there. Cause to rebuild houses of philosophy, oracles, and temples, and in all such places where mortals come to consult the spirits, provide ye such spirits who shall answer through the oracles for benefit of our dominion. See that? The oracles in this manner would be, in this depiction of the judgment hall of Ma'at, the oracles would be Haru, Tahuti, Anubis. Those are the intermediaries between Hanifa, the subject, and Osiris, the king, the God king. And the judges above, the 42 judges of Ma'at. So again, it's showing you. Let's read that verse again, verse 3. And we in the Book of Wars Against Jehovah, chapter 37, verse 3. This also shall ye do, re-establish places of learning, teaching the Osirian law. Cause to be rebuilt houses of philosophy, oracles, and temples. And in all such places where mortals come to consult the spirits, provide ye such spirits who shall answer through the oracles for benefit of our dominions. See that? For our dominions. That's how Osiris is talking, but at least Osiris is talking about rebuilding, reestablishing places of learning. This is why ancient Egypt is so voluminous with learning. because that was Osiris' plan. This was his strategy on overtaking the lower heavens. Because you remember, the verse started off. Verse 1 started off saying, Osiris said to Baal and Ashtaroth, go ye down to the earth to subdue it. And this is the verse that's showing you how they doing it. How they subduing it. When the oracles, when mortals, when the prophets and the priests come to the oracles or the angels to communicate, who they gonna say is the Most High? They saying Osiris is the Most High. Because he said what? He says what? But suffer mortals to worship as they may. If they worship the Creator, yeah. If they worship Dais or Ahura, yeah. But it said what? But all these are but one person, Osiris. So that's Osiris being cunning. He's being cunning with knowledge, being deceptive in his measure, in his ways. So now, verse 4. It was ourselves that gave the name Lord God to the Arabians. It was ourselves that gave the name Dais to Persia and Hellas. Let us not waste ourselves away undoing what we have been done, but appropriate it to ourselves. So Osiris like, all right, we spent years establishing these names. We're not about to go tell mortals a whole new name and start over again. But we're going to appropriate it. See, Osiris is smart. Like I said, these are the false gods playing on a higher level. These ain't the drudges. These are the chess moves of the false gods on a higher level. Verse 5. Such then was the basis on which these three gods set out to establish heaven and earth. See that? So there you have Osiris. Where the image of Baal at? So you got these gods right here. Now this is Baal. You remember when I told you that Baal got the same headdress as Osiris? If you look at Osiris and Baal, look at that headdress. It's the same. But as we read in the Oahspe, Osiris and Baal are on the same team right now in this particular time. See that? That's why they got the same headdress on, because they was on the same team before they split up and became rivals. See, Oahspe is revealing these things, and historically, you could put the pieces together. What the hell is Baal, a Canaanite deity, wearing the headdress of either Upper or Lower Egypt? Why? Because they on the same team. They was once on the same team. And you can even see the same headdress on El. Look at that. Let me shrink this a little. Look at the headdress on El. And look at the headdress on Osiris. See that? These niggas was all working together at one time. And then all of these was at one time once with the Creator, before they broke away and established themselves as independent deities as you see them now. Prior to this, there was one with the Creator. But the one who wanted to break, one broke away and the others followed. And these are some of the followers. El, Baal, Osiris, Ashtaroth. All these were people that strayed away when Anu-Hassad strayed away. All these are Anu-Hassad's pupils and puppets. They broke away from him and then established themselves. So again, let's go back. So I had to give you some visuals showing you that all these cats was on the same playing field, yo. They all on the same team before they break away. And coming back to verse 1 where it says, Osiris said to Baal and Ashtaroth, go ye down to subdue the earth. That's what they out here doing. So again, verse 5 states, such then was the basis of which these three gods set out to establish heaven and earth. Osiris gave to Baal and Ashtaroth, in addition to their own kingdoms, 12 lords each, to labor with them in the earth department, and every lord was allotted 1,000,000 servant soldiers to be under the Lord's jurisdiction. See how this shit is mapped out? This ain't no play. These niggas is strategically strategizing on how to subdue the lower heavens and the earth for their own personal glory. Not giving the glory to the creator, but giving the glory to themselves. They going through all this shit just for motherfuckers to glorify them and look upon them like they the most high. Verse 6. With this, Baal and Ashtoreth returned to their heavenly kingdom on the earth, and at once set about their labors. First, by inspiring mortal kings and queens, who thus impressed tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of their subjects to do the building. So now they're about to establish these kingdoms on earth for their gods. You got the temple of Osiris, coming back to some of these pictures, these depictions. See, so now that everything is laid out in heaven, they're about to get to work on earth. They're about to start building what you see now. These images and depictions of the deities and the gods. That's what they building now. All these concepts, the tree of life and all that, all this is being established now by these deities. So what does it say? Verse 6 say, with this Baal and Ashtoreth returned to their heavenly kingdoms on the earth, and at once set about their labors. First, by inspiring mortal kings and queens. It said first by inspiring mortal. See, these false gods, like I said, they play at a high level. So they're not going to the street dealers. They go to the boss of bosses. So the false gods say, yo, go to the kings and go to the queens, the ones who run this shit. Because if we get control of the head, we got the body. We can control the body. So that's why they go to the hierarchies. They go to the ones in charge. First, by inspiring mortal kings and queens, who thus impressed tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of their subjects to do the buildings. Verse 7. And in 7 years' time, there were built in Persia, in Africa, or Arabia, 4,000 altars for the sacred dances, 7,000 temples of sacrifice, 470 oracle temples, and 31 Sargos temples. Sargos is the ability when angels appear before mortals, when they physically manifest before. That's like me standing right here and a damn angel appear right there. That's what they call Sargos, the ability for angels to appear before mortals. So they got temples for this shit. They got a temple strictly for that. And it's stated that they got 31 Sargos temples. Well, Sargis temples. That's 31 temples where angels come and communicate with you. Direct. So it says, and 31 Sargos temples where the lords took on corporeal forms and talked and reasoned with mortals. So it just explained it before I even got to it. I just want to explain the definition of Sargos or Sargis, so when you hear it, you won't be like, what that mean? I'm explaining it so we could all be on the same page. So I'm going to run that verse back. And in 7 years' time, there were built in Persia and Arabia 4,000 altars for the sacred dances, 7,000 temples of sacrifice, 470 oracle temples, and 31 Sargos temples, where the lords took on corporeal forms and talked and reasoned with mortals, especially on the stars and moon and on the earth, teaching the philosophers the four motions of the earth, axial, osculate, orbitic, and the vorkum, the roadway of the vortex, the plan of the solar felix, and the cycles of the earth, the cycles of the sun, and the cycles of the sun's sun. See that? The cycles of the sun's sun. So the sun orbits another sun. You know what I mean? Some people are like, oh, that could be the they talk about Nibiru, or they talk about the second son. So that concept is already in our head due to what we've been hearing about in the rumors about a second son. But in the Oahspe, it's saying that the cycles of the sun's sun, which would be the Milky Way galaxy or the galactic center, the North Star belt wherein, and the vortices that move them all. This is the shit. The angels came in corporeal form in the temple and reasoned with man about creation. Nigga, can you imagine that shit? Niggas don't even know if angels are real. But in the Oahspe, it's showing you that these niggas is manifesting in corporeal form, speaking among men. So when you see the depictions in antiquity with the gods, they was among men. These niggas wasn't spooked out. They wasn't a ghostiest, penetrable object. These niggas, it said what? What did the scripture say? The lords took on corporeal forms and talked and reasoned with mortals. See that? This is why you got the depiction of El. This is why you got the depiction of Baal. And this is why you got the depiction of Osiris. You know why? Because these dudes was manifesting before the people. Osiris and these gods, they manifest. So if you was a priest, you had an opportunity to see one of these deities. You had the opportunity to see. How you think they made these depictions of the gods? They had to see them. Don't that make sense? Ask an artist. Ask somebody who draw. Ask them if they just wishfully make up shit out their imagination, shit like this. No, they see something and they put it down on paper. They mimic it. So the Oahspe is showing you that these deities manifested before mortals in the temples. That's why they built temples. Because that was the visiting places for the angels to communicate with mortals. And it said reason with mortals. Like they reasoning. You know what it is to reason? We reasoning right now. We building. We burning a spliff, take a sip, take a drink. Nigga, we reasoning, we rationalizing on the creation. Seeing what makes sense, seeing what don't make sense. And the angels is right there with your ass reasoning. And keep in mind, the angel is the spirit of the dead, somebody who done crossed over from this physical world. But they done came back in the physical form to reason with you about creation. That's a beautiful thing, yo. That's a goddamn beautiful thing. And ain't nothing destructive being said here. He ain't inspiring niggas to go to war. This is before Osiris took the war route. This is when Osiris thought he was clever and figuring a way that he could do it different than his other primal gods, his other friends, Sudga and T, and the other gods of India and Asia, because they took the war route. While this going on in India and China, it's straight out war going on, pure bloodshed going on. But in Egypt, in Africa, and Arabia, or the Middle East, they was taking this approach. They was communicating with the lords, taking on corporeal form. Verse 8. And the inhabitants of Arabia and Persia and Hellas began again to prosper and became mighty. But after many years, behold, Baal and Ashtaroth rebelled against Osiris and succeeded from Arabia. See that? See that? Everything was cool. Everything was cool. They prospered. And they say nothing about no warfare here. So these angels is communicating with mortals. Niggas is gaining knowledge. Niggas is building temples and pyramids. Everything is good. But then what did it say? But after many years, behold, Baal and Ashtaroth rebelled against Osiris and succeeded him from Arabia. And this was the end of the heavenly confederacy founded by Darius. See that? This was the end of the confederacy, meaning that now nobody is rocking with each other no more. Everybody's separate. Darius, the false god Anu-Hassad, established the confederacy. And after Darius was cast in hell, the confederacy was left open, Osiris. And then they started having splinter cells. And now ain't nobody rocking with each other. So that's why I said this is the end After Baal and Ashtaroth fall out, that's it. It's all hell on earth and heaven. That's why the Middle East is in so much turmoil the way it is from these wars that was established in 6,000 years ago. So again it states, and the inhabitants of Arabia in Persia and Hellas began again to prosper and became mighty. But after many years, behold, Baal and Ashtaroth rebelled against Osiris and succeeded from Arabia. And this was the end of the heavenly confederacy founded by Darius. As for the far-off gods in other divisions of the earth, they succeeded at the time Osiris and Tian and Subdue did. And from this time on, no more spirits were sent to the Lord God, the false, the author of the name Darius. See that? See the head honcho, the workers under him, he have all people collect the souls and bring it to his heavenly kingdom. But once these false gods create their own heavenly kingdom, no more souls comes to the heavenly kingdom of the head honcho. They start going to the heavenly kingdom of whatever false god established. So Osiris established himself, broke away from Darius. So Osiris is not about to send spirits of the dead to Darius' kingdom. Osiris gonna keep them shits for himself so he can establish his base. So that's what the verse is saying when it states that no more spirits of the dead came to Darius. Now they're being distributed among the other false gods who's collecting the souls of the dead for their own personal aggrandizement or self-glorification. This shit cold-blooded, yo. Ain't no love in these streets, yo. Ain't no love among thieves. Miles, what's good? D, I see you. God body peace, God. Y'all chiming in. Maria, I see you. Greetings. Yeah, we touching on these goddamn false gods and their tricks and shit. So now, we see what verse 8 stated. Let's read it again. And the inhabitants of Arabia and Persia and Hellas began again to prosper and became mighty. But after many years, Baal and Ashtaroth rebelled against Osiris and succeeded from Arabia. And this was the end of the heavenly confederacy founded by Darius. As for the far-off gods in other divisions of the earth, they succeeded at the time Osiris, Tian, and Subdue did. Tian is the god of China, a false god of China, and Subdue is a false god of India. And from this time on, no more spirits were sent to the Lord God, the false, the author of the name Darius. Verse 9, here's the catcher. When Baal and Ashtaroth succeeded from Osiris and resumed their own kingdoms, behold, in all the division of the earth, every god was for himself and his own kingdom. But behold, in every division of the earth, every god was for himself and his own kingdom. So everybody playing for keeps. All right, you stay over there, you stay over there, you stay over there, you stay over there. This is mine. Don't cross my territory, wouldn't be no problems. You don't cross my territory, wouldn't be no problems. And everybody could be happy. That's the mentality when you're playing for keeps. The reason I know, that's the hustle mentality in the streets and the drug game. Nigga, that's your block. You stay over there. Any money flowing through here, that belongs to me. Anybody coming looking for weed over here, that belongs to me. Or you over there, you know what I mean? I'm not going to interrupt what you doing over there. You stay over there. And don't interrupt what we got going over here. That's the drug game. This is showing you the blueprint right here as far as the mentality. Now, let's read that verse 9 again. When Baal and Ashtaroth succeeded from Osiris and resumed their own kingdoms, behold, in all the division of the earth, every god was for himself and for his own kingdom. But between Osiris and Baal and Ashtaroth, a triangular war ensued in reference to the boundaries and division of the land of the earth. See that? So if you look at the land from the Levant, that's what the Levant is what they're talking about here. They beefing over the Levant because there's close quarter territories in the Levant. Let's get a picture of the Levant real quick. Let me see if I got one. What was that? I think that's I may have to skim. There we go, right there. Bong went straight to it. That's the Levant. So what you're seeing right here is what they just described when it stated a triangular war ensured in reference to the boundaries and the divisions of the land of the earth. So here's the Levant, and here's the boundaries. So Egypt, what is kind of clipped off the map. Let me see if this on the other map. What is kind of the same. But Egypt is Osiris. Egypt is Osiris' domain. Baal's domain is Canaan, all the way on up to Syria. And Ashtaroth's domain is Persia, which is Babylon or Iraq or Mesopotamia. Assyria, Babylon is Persia. And that's Ashtaroth's domain. Hellas, Canaan, Syria, Jordan, all that is Baal's domain. And then you have Egypt or East Africa, that's Osiris' domain. So when the verse stated, in verse 9 where it stated, but between Osiris of Egypt, Baal of Canaan, and Ashtaroth of Persia, a triangular war ensured in reference to the boundaries and the division of the land of the earth. And there you see, those are close quarter boundaries right there. That's why it's so hostile in that environment, because of the boundaries, the lines drawn to say, well, this is my land and that's your land. No. That from that mountain, that belongs to us. And it's war because of the boundaries. Now verse 10. So I just wanted to show that they dealing with, just like the drug game, boundaries and territories that they beef over. That's one of the main reasons drug dealers go to war. It's because of boundaries and territories. You moving in on my turf, you encroaching on my turf, or you got another dealer trying to encroach on and move in on another dealer's turf, and that's where problems occur. So the Oahspe is showing you the exact same things that the drug game go through, that these false gods is doing. This is where it comes from. This is where we get the blueprint of the bullshit. So verse 10 states, now therefore, since the self-gods had become the beginning of a new order of dominion in heaven and earth, everyone in his own way, it is profitable to leave them for the present, to be resumed afterward. Hear ye then of Dias, the false Lord God, and of the God, truthful of Jehovah. So basically, right there, they just about to go somewhere else with it. But I just wanted to give you a briefing to show you how deceptive and cunning these false gods are. And being deceptive and cunning, it's recoiling back on themselves, because now they got a triangular war going on with themselves. You dig? You dig? So we just want to touch on that for a quick second, couple of verses. Read a couple of verses touching on the nature of how these false gods strategize to take over. Miles, what's good? Going crazy in the chat. Black Sea region was once Kemet. You're doing the Middle and Old Kingdoms? No doubt. No doubt. Kemet used shit. Kemet was running Canaan in the land during the time of the New Kingdom and the New Kingdom. The time Israel was supposed to be conquering the land of Canaan, you had Thutmoses and the brothers running up in there, having campaigns up in there, doing their thing. Canaan was an Egyptian protectorate. Okay. Inanna is not, is both lands. Yeah, Inanna, Queen of Heaven, Ashtaray, all that's the same deity. The female goddess. She was bold, yo. She had guts. And that's interesting, because in the Oahspe, it doesn't talk about like Isis would have to be Ashtaray, because Osiris is rocking with Baal and Ashtaray, but there is no Aset in the story of in the Oahspe. That's interesting. So the only female goddess prominent during this time is Ashtoreth. You know what I mean? As far as the main face in the joint, because they talk about other deities below them, lower ranking gods and goddesses, but as far as having an impact on Earth as a name, Ashtoreth was the main one. Yeah, yo, we late night building. Spiritual politics. Politics of the spirit. So I just want to read on that, yo. Stay on the necks of these false gods. Show how deceptive they are. And see, another thing is that, see, the heavenly kingdoms is graded from 1 to 99, 50 being the median point. The higher your grade grow, that means you're progressing up and outward. If your grade is low, that means you're still struggling in the lower realms. But you could have a high grade and then start to revert backwards, start to decline in grade, just like in school. You know, you may be a straight A student from like 4th grade, you know, you hitting straight A's, and 5th grade, you're hitting straight A's. But by the time you hit 7th, 8th grade, you may start facing some challenges. Them straight A's may start turning into B's. Them B's may start turning into C's. Them C's may start turning into D's, and now you got an F. You dropped in grade. But at one point, you was at a high grade. Same thing in the spiritual world. Every individual is graded. And you could rise and fall in the grades in the exact same manner how I described in school. So when these heavenly kingdoms are set up by these false gods, they may start off with high grades as they establish their heavenly kingdom. As false gods, they may start off with a grade 88. And the angels that leave with them may start off with high grades of such as 88, 80, 85. But then within the course of time, those grades may drop from 88 to 80, from 80 to 77, from 77 to 70. And the more your grades drop, the more you begin to be educated, you revert back to more carnal ways and ways of thinking and ways of going. So if you drop to a grade 1, anybody in the heavenly kingdom that is at a grade 1 becomes a wandering spirit, or they engage in some type of warfare because you're in the lowest grades. So I'm just going to read a couple of verses where an angel comes to one of the false gods to tell them that, nigga, you fucking up. And we can tell because the grades are dropping in your heavenly kingdom, and it's only a matter of time for your shit turning to anarchy and chaos because of the grades. We observing the grades, just like in school. You may have your child. He may bring his report card or her report card and say, look, Dad, I got straight A's. That shit may rock for a couple of years. The next, she may get the report card and it may be a B. And you're like, okay, that's still good. You know, a B ain't bad. But then next time she comes, she may bring you a C. And you're like, yo, you got to tighten up. And then the next time she comes, she don't want to show you the report card because it's a D. So now she starts thinking cunning and deceptive because she don't want to show you the report card. So she lied to you or he lied to you now. Dad, you know, the report cards ain't come in yet. You know, it's electronic. They don't mail them out. You lying because you don't want to show the fact that you got a D because your grade is dropping. And then by the time you get an F, you ain't rocking. You feel like you failing. Your mind start changing. I'm going to drop out. I'm going to go get a job. Whatever. You become a wandering spirit, a wandering soul. Drop out of high school. When you drop out of high school, you just wandering if you ain't got a game plan. Same thing in the structure of the heavenly kingdom. These false gods begin to fall in grade like the child whose grades is being lowered, and the parent is observing the drop and seeing the downfall as it progresses. So the angels, the righteous angels from true God's heavenly kingdom is looking at the false gods like, yo, these niggas are going to fall and drop eventually because their grades is dropping. So now check it. This is in the Book of Wars Against Jehovah, chapter 39. I'm going to start from verse 7. As to the coming danger, it was an easy matter to a state. Hold on. Let me go here just in case I want to throw some pictures. Verse 7. As to the coming danger, it is an easy matter to estimate. 1,000 years ago, when thou first established thyself in thy heavens, Horeb possessed an average grade above 50, all told. And there were 4,000 million of them. So here he's just giving an estimate. He's like, yo, 1,000 years ago, niggas was a grade above 50. Verse 8. In 200 years thou has 6,000 million, and the grade was raised to 65. And in the next 200 years, the number was nearly doubled, but the grade had fallen to 40. So now you had double the amount of people in your heavenly kingdom, but the grade went from 65 to 40. So just imagine having a classroom doubled. So you had 10 kids in the classroom. The next year, you got 20 kids, it doubled. But the grade of the children has dropped from B's to fucking C's. And the kids is playing out in their behavior based off the grade. You got a C grade, your attitude is gonna be of a C grade. If you got a grade A in school, your attitude is gonna be of a grade A. If you got an F in school, your attitude is gonna be of an F. You're gonna, I don't care, I'm failing. So it's showing you how they falling with the grade. So again, verse 8. Let me start from the top. In 200 years, thou hast 6,000 million angels, and the grade was raised to 65. In the next 200 years, the number was nearly doubled, but the grade had fallen to 40. And in 200 years later, the inhabitants had nearly doubled again, but the grade had fallen to 28. Now look at that. Let me get an illustration of the heavenly grades. So he tripled his population in his heavenly kingdom, but now the grade is 28. That means your angels is vibrating at a low frequency. Let's get these heavenly plateaus, yo. This shit runs deep. See, the Oahspe leaves you it don't leave you out there like that. This shit lays it out. So they go to grades right there. Those the grades. Grade 1 being the lowest, grade 50 being middleweight, grade 99 being the highest atmospherian grades. And then you got the etherian realm that exists outside of the earth and its atmosphere. So what I'm reading is an estimation in time that these heavenly kingdoms fall and are cast in hell and chaos based off the grades. So let's read that that verse 8 once again. Like I said, we in the Book of Wars Against Jehovah, chapter 39, verse 8. In 200 years thou has, matter of fact, hold on, let me see if I got the illustrations with the angels in it. Okay, boom, there go one right there. I'll start there. All right, so check it. In 200 years, thou hast 6,000 million angels, and the grade was raised to 65. So let's say, like with that part right there, grade 65 is a little bit above grade 50. That's not bad at all. That's a pretty good grade, because in that grade, at least you in a second resurrection. But now it says, in the next 200 years, the number was nearly doubled, but the grade had fallen to 40. So now you got double the population, but the grade has dropped to 40. So now you below that 50 marker. If you below that 50 marker, that's not a good thing as far as for spiritual progression, for going backwards. And then it says, and then 200 years later, the inhabitants had nearly doubled again. So you tripled the population in your heavenly kingdom, but the grade had fallen to 28. See that? So now you have fallen to 28. That's a low grade. You damn near here now. You damn near close to grade 1. And then it says, in the next 200 years, the increase in number was at the same rate as the decrease in grade. Wow, look at that. So you done populated your heavenly kingdom 4 times over. So you started off with 10 people in the classroom. Now you got 40 people in the classroom, and all of those people are maintaining a D grade. In this heavenly kingdom, they're maintaining a grade of 28 and below. See that? Once you start dropping in the grades, the people become ignorant. The people become hostile because they're not being educated. They're not growing. You're not teaching them of the Creator. You taught them about yourselves. You taught them about you, the false God, and you have limitations. Let's go to verse 9. Now behold, thy 28,000 million or 28 billion, more than half of whom are in Horeb, are below grade 10. Look at that. And when thou did first possess Horeb, a 10 grade could not survive thereon. See that? Think not that some accidental thing will rise to so great a weight. Let me read that last line. Think not that some accidental thing will rise so great a weight. So he said, yo, don't think some old accidental wishful thinking is going to help you out the situation. That's basically what he's telling them. Verse 10. Look into this matter as to what thou hast done. Thou hast persuaded thy hosts not to look upon to Jehovah and his kingdoms. And lo, they incline downward to the earth. Yeah, they have already filled the earth with war and destruction. See that? That's what comes with the lowest grades. War and destruction. If any angel is striving in grade 1, he's either a wandering spirit or he's engaging in war and destruction. Verse 11. Thou shalt not hope to throw these things on thy gods, for they will turn against thee and accuse thee. At present they are content to found kingdoms of their own, but they will also come to an end. Because they have succeeded from thee, let it be evident that all the highest grades will follow in the same way. Verse 12. As for Cryosheva, now Cryosheva is the name of the heavenly kingdom of true God. Now he's about to give an example of true God's heavenly kingdom. So he's telling them, so this is an angel from true God's heavenly kingdom telling the false gods your heavenly kingdoms is going to fall based off your angels with low grade. Now this angel is about to give an example of true God's heavenly kingdom and the grading angels there. So verse 12, just to give you some context. Verse 12. As for Cryosheva, the heavenly kingdom of true God, her lowest grades are above 50. So he's saying that the lowest grades in true God's heavenly kingdom is above 50. And that's damn good. And therefore self-sustaining. See that? Her highest grades are 99. And her average 88. That's how cats is rocking in the heavenly kingdom of true God. They up in the higher echelons. But we just read the false gods' heavenly kingdom are doubling in number and the grades are dropping. But here, this angel from true God's heavenly kingdom is saying like, yo, our lowest grade is above 50, therefore self-sustaining. And our highest is grade 99, and our average is 88. So what you saying, son? What you saying? You see how we rocking over here? Our average is grade 88, our highest is 99, and our lowest is above 50. So we self-sustaining over here, but y'all on the other end is dropping in grade from 65 to 50 to 40 to 28, you're going to end up in anarchy and chaos in a minute if you don't do something about raising your grades up. See, the Oahspe is giving it to you hook, line, and sinker. There is no mystery. There is no spook. There is no accidental chances. You got to weigh this thing in your own hand if you do these things. So again, True God's Heavenly Kingdom are averaging 88 as a grade. So let's read verse 12 again. As for Kryosheva, True God's Heavenly Kingdom, her lowest grades are above 50 and therefore self-sustaining. Her highest grades are 99 and her average 88. And hundreds of millions of these are as such as my lords have rescued from thy bondage. Look at that. He's saying that these angels, some of these angels with this high grade, these were angels that you slaughtered. These were angels that you had in bondage, that we rescued on the battlefield, and we got them to these high elite grades. So again it says, and hundreds of millions of these are such as my lords have rescued from thy bondage, meaning your hells and not you false god, referring to. Others such as faithists on the earth as they false gods put to death for refusing to bow to them. See that? And have they not proved it? Oh, I gotta turn the page. And have they not proved it is better to suffer death than to renounce faith in Jehovah? Otherwise they had now been within the company of thy slaves, toiling day and night. Verse 13. Yeah, my kingdom is made up of those that were despised and abused, and of those that thy God slew in war, in chaotic and madness. See that? Jehovah is saying, this angel is saying, like, yo, the niggas you was slaying, the souls of those people that was chaotically on the battlefield, we collected those souls. And these are the same souls with these high grades that we telling you about. See that? But keep in mind, your biblical God is a God of war. So your biblical God, hold up, I got a goddamn C motherfuckers for this one. So your biblical God, who was a God of war out here slaying motherfuckers, the spirits of those he's slaying is who true God is collecting and raising a grade up to these high grades in the spiritual realm. The lowest grade is above 50 in true God's heavenly kingdom. So look at that. Verse 13 again. Yeah, my kingdom is made up of those that were despised and abused. See that? And of those that thy God slew in war, chaotic and mad. For my Asaph spirits who receive the spirits, angels who receive the spirits of the dead, followed thy cruel wars, and gathered the spirits of the slain, whom thou would not have. Thou callest them poor still. Why so they are? They are washed white as snow, and because they have been taught to keep on casting aside all accumulation except knowledge and goodness of heart, in which they are rich in indeed. So here that verse is telling you that the false gods that were slaying mortals or getting their angel emissaries to inspire mortals to war, killing off those people, true God is collecting the souls of those people killed, bringing them to his heavenly kingdom, raising a spiritual grade to 88, above 50, 99. But keep in mind, in the Bible, your God is the one that's encouraging to kill off infants, to go to war and kill off man, woman, and children, and not even giving you what the results of the spirits of those people are. While the Oahspe is showing you that, since your false God says that's the God you want to follow, and he's commanded you to go out here and kill man, woman, and children, we're going to collect the souls of those people killed, and we're going to make them continue to progress according to the ways of the Creator. Long story short. So Oahspe is exposing badly the ways of their false gods and it's showing you the redemptive act and the redemptive process of salvation of these souls that are slain in warfare. See that? You want to talk about redemption and salvation? This is the real redemption and salvation. What? Let's read that again to clarify this shit. Verse 13. Yeah, my kingdom is made up of those that were despised and abused. Slaves were despised and abused. We were hung and lynched, despised and abused. So he says, my kingdom is made up of those. And then he said, what? Of those that died God slew in war. See that? So he says, my kingdom is made up of those that you slew in war. That your ass put the head out on the people, get killed. Those people you killed, that's part of my kingdom. They're part of my heavenly kingdom. So imagine that. He says, for my asafs, my angels follow thy cruel wars. For my angels follow thy cruel wars and gather in the spirits of the slain. See that? See what we're doing over here? So while you out there going to war, from state to state, country to country, slaying, here come the angels of Jehovah coming behind you, collecting the slain and bringing them to the heavenly kingdom of true God. That's the redemptive act. That's redemption. That's salvation. That's being saved. Just imagine your ass as an innocent person getting slain on a battlefield and your ass is in spirit and chaos, panic and fear. And then somebody comes save your ass out of that condition. That's why I say this is the real salvation right here. It's showing you the works from the false gods act and how true God and his heavenly host got to come behind these false gods and clean up their bullshit. So it says again, and those that thy God slew in war, chaotic and mad, for my angels follow thy cruel wars and gather in the spirits of the slain, whom thou would not have. So that right there is so important because it's showing you that in the Bible, when God commands the killing, it doesn't tell you the nature of the spirits of the dead after God inspires man to kill. But here, the Oahspe is showing you the nature of the spirits of the dead after death, and then it's showing you how these angels collect the souls in and bring them to true God's heavenly kingdom for redemption and salvation. Verse 4, where we at? Verse 14. They would not come to thee now in pity to take thy people by the hand and deliver them away from thee in darkness. And if thy slaves be not delivered away from thee, they will surely sooner or later turn upon thee and cast thee into hell. See that? Like I've been saying, it's going to be the people in their own heavenly kingdom that's going to turn against them. These false gods, they're not going to be attacked from without. They're going to be attacked from within. Their own people are going to attack them. So it says again, and if thy slaves be not delivered away from thee, they will surely, sooner or later, turn upon thee and cast thee into hell. I pray thee, therefore, assume thou conversations to Jehovah. Assume thou conversions to Jehovah, and cast thy kingdom upon him while thou mayest. For I have the power and the measure to deliver thee and thy slaves. Yeah, I will give thee a new name and hide thee away, that they cannot find thee, and thou shalt be one with me in my holy place. Thus the matter remained. So the angel was like, yo, I can help you out. What's good, my nigga? I got you. I got you. We can give you a new name. We can hide you away for a minute. Boom, boom, boom. And he still rebelled, but you got to read the rest of the story. But I just wanted to read that part just to show you how these false gods, once they begin to drop in grade, their angels begin to drop, and their angels take on the roles of being more ignorant than educated. And then hostility, anarchy, chaos, rioting overtakes the heavenly kingdom. Exactly. In the corporeal form, it plays out as these wars. Exactly. Exactly, family. 'Cause it survives. Tim, I see you. Can't pronounce the name, but I see you, fam. And we just touching on some scriptures because it's a vibes, yo. Spiritual vibes in another place, yeah? Let's vibes for a minute. Touch it to the cosmos. Jehovah's cosmos, yeah? It's a vibes.